from Pasadena, California, where we will be until tomorrow. And we had just a great evening last evening at the Cathedral of the Armenian Apostolic Church for the Eastern Diocese of the United States, and had a chance to talk, share views, and talk about the great crisis that we face as Christians with the attack on Christianity in one way, and the attack on religion completely on Jews and on God, who's been ripped out of America. It's a picture of the first Armenian archbishop in the United States, I believe.
That's a video I took of the room.
And you may not know, but the Armenian community, which used to be much bigger on the East Coast, around the middle of the 20th century, there were tremendous numbers of Armenians who came to California, and now it's a very, very large community in Southern California and throughout California. And it's divided into two dioceses: East, which would be the Archbishop is in New York, and someone I knew very well when I was mayor, and the Archbishop in Los Angeles is the Archbishop for the western part of the country. And has the distinction and the history and the whole background of being the earliest Christian church. First nation to adopt Christianity as a religion was Armenia in 310 after Christ. And that's when it was adopted as a religion. That's not when it converted. It was converted, according to church history, by Barnabas, the disciples Barnabas, and somebody else with him. And it was converted, the nation was converted to Christianity by the teachings of St. Gregory the Illuminator, who converted the king of Armenia, who made Armenia a Catholic country. And then other countries in the region followed suit. And finally, of course, the big one was Constantine, the emperor of the Roman Empire, with the influence of all of these Christians gathering and the way they lived their life, and also his mother, who was a converted Catholic Christian. And first, he decided he would lift all of the persecution of the Christians, which had somewhat ended at that point. But he decided to make sure it ended, because he thought before he adopted the religion, Constantine decided it was just not right to be killing all these people, because that's what they would do. They would slaughter them. And the Armenians were subjected to the Roman slaughter and the pagans that would surround them. And then he himself adopted the religion. He became a Catholic, a Christian. I say Catholic because that's from the Nicene, that's what they consider themselves. One holy Catholic church. That goes back to the 2nd, 3rd century. So don't get upset with me if I call it Catholic. And by the way, Greek Orthodox and Armenian Orthodox are all entitled to say the same thing, because they're all part of that same church. It's split about 1100. And we'll go through that at some point. But let's go to Ukraine right now, which is in the middle of that, actually, in a certain way, in the middle of that Orthodox dispute, because it broke away from the Russian Orthodox Church, as I imagine you figure it would after what the Russian did to them. But Putin is still saying he's bound to win a war of attrition. There is now more than just hopeful speculation that he may not. It is centered on several different things that are really separate. One is the pressure at home uh, from both the elite and from the people. The elite are up in arms because the economy of the country, although they'll never admit it, is in shambles. Even with the break they got with oil, because there was a lack of oil, and they were able to sell their oil for a higher price. Everything else they got killed on, and even their oil, people went any place else but Russia to buy oil, and now they're going to be back in. Plus, Trump put additional sanctions on them after they attacked the 1,000-year-old cathedral and tried to destroy it and did some real damage to it in Kiev, the Dormition Cathedral. So whatever financial issues they have now, next week are going to be worse. And both the rich and the middle class are putting tremendous pressure on Putin. Putin is creating some of his own problems by seizing the property of the rich. Now, Putin is an absolute dictator. But at some point, an absolute dictator rests on very powerful people either supporting it or not paying attention to it. And if you press it enough, there isn't a dictator in the history of the world that couldn't be removed. If powerful enough people get together and remove him, think of Caesar. Huh? Caesar wanted to be emperor of Rome. The people of Rome loved him, not like Putin. They don't love Putin. But the senators killed him because the other powerful people said, hey, we don't want an emperor. If the powerful people of Russia say, this guy is screwing up our country for good, he's gone. And there is some of that going on right now. And he's doing things like trying to take property away from Russians and other countries. And it's because he needs money. And he doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to do a universal draft because that will then turn the people against him in such large numbers that may not be able to avoid a change of government. Now, all of this gets added into the fact that the Ukrainians are seeing a lot of victories. I'm going to tell you how it turned around. Way back in 2023, when the Ukrainians attempted that summer a counteroffensive, and they tried the counteroffensive during the summer because they knew that the winter was going to be bad, and they were pretty much defeated they were pretty much pushed back by the Russians. Now, they weren't pushed back in the sense of tremendous gains by the Russians, some, but they didn't make any gains. Since then, they've been working on two new strategies. One is known as the mid-range strategy, and they developed just an unbelievable number of inexpensive mid-range attack drones. And those mid-range attack drones best the Russians in the hand-to-hand battles that take place, confrontations along that very, very long border separating the occupied part of Ukraine from Ukraine. And in those battles, due to the troops, number one, and also to the mid-range strategy that they use, they have driven Russia back a bit. And this year, a lot. In May alone, Ukraine hit 441 enemy headquarters. And at the same time, as that was successful, and they had the line now solid, they began developing a long-range strategy, eking out further and further permissions and whatever they needed from Europe and the United States to use the missiles at a greater range. They could have done this a while back. For the first time, actually, since that setback in 2023, Ukraine each month is gaining more territory than it's losing. Net, it's getting territory back. And Russia is struggling terribly with attrition. The independent Finnish observation service that tries to track the casualties says that the last month was by far one of the worst months for Russia. They suffered 35,000 casualties in the last month. They only recruited 27,000. Net loss. And that was, you know what the balance was between Russia and Ukraine last month? 8-1. Russian soldiers killed, Ukrainian soldiers killed. Some of the Ukrainians are now starting to think they can liberate the entire land bridge. Some are more focused on isolating Crimea. The first goal 6 months ago would have been unthinkable. Today, it's still not the odds-on favorite, but not impossible. The second goal, isolating Crimea, they're about halfway there. They have destroyed, there are 3 bridges to Crimea from Russia. One is gone completely. The other is damaged and unusable, and it's hard to tell how long it would take to repair. The other one has to be rebuilt completely. And they keep shelling the areas where they try to rebuild it. The second one is almost in that same position. Let's be conservative, halfway there. And the third one hasn't been focused on yet, totally. The goal, take out all 3 bridges, let Russia have to use water transportation to stay in contact with Crimea, which is now suffering massive energy losses because at the same time, they're taking out their energy facilities in Crimea. So Crimea, which Russia had as a summer resort and also a place for its fleet and just a beautiful place to go, and nobody wants to go to Crimea and they all want to leave. SpaceX has limited Russia's access to Starlink, completely disrupting their military communications. That's been going on since February. And it's been making possible for Russia to come in under the, and they've hit targets now. Well, they've hit right outside Moscow and beyond. I don't know that they've gotten to the Urals yet, but they're hitting targets all over Russia. And a couple of the big ones they're hitting very, very hard. And one of the outside evaluators, the ISW, says Ukraine now has the advantage and the initiative over Russia for mid-range strike capabilities. Now, what is Russia trying to do? Russia is panicking, and they are trying very, very hard to get an ally. And they are working on Belarus, except Belarus, although it cooperated at the very beginning of the war, then declared neutrality. And the president and Secretary of State Rubio, I think Secretary of State Rubio made a trip there. Is trying to bring them in as an American ally. I don't know if they're going to get Belarus. Now, they had in the very beginning of the war. Now, why is that important? Belarus is important because it's not that far from Kiev. And if they can get Belarus and they can invade from Belarus, it would give them a chance, although there's no chance they're going to take the rest of it. Maybe they can get the capital. I doubt that Belarus is going to cooperate with them. And even if they do, it might not work. They attempted that already and it failed. And you could say, well, Ukraine is more worn down now, but it's also more experienced. It has more support. And the Russians are more worn down by some factor of 3-1, 4-1. They're also attempting another road toward Kiev, which is through Sumy, and they're failing at that. So I don't know when Putin does some form of a graceful nomas. Let's see if we can't settle this. Ukraine, for example, controls a good deal of Kherson, which was a bitter battle to get that, but they don't have all of it. They want the rest of it, and it borders on Crimea. Their power is off. In Kherson, in Sevastopol, which is the biggest city in Crimea, they've got to restrict power to a couple hours a day because of the Ukrainian drone attacks. The number of trains in Crimea has been cut in more than half. And the governor of Crimea is pleading for help. So things are changing. And I think if you go back and watch if you have any time this weekend, if you go back and watch our interview with Valery Gergiev, the mayor of Ukraine for 4.5 years, every day an hour of this, and the former heavyweight champ and a PhD, Klitschko. Gergiev. Why did I say Gergiev? You know why I said Gergiev? He was the conductor of the St. Petersburg Opera.
I knew there was something.
Yeah. And I was thinking about him the other day. Very funny how things come into your head. Well, so if you listen to him, you'll see that they're just not going to. They're not going to give up. What has happened is the Russians have made them more determined because they see how vicious they are. 4.5 years ago, I don't know. I might be just speculating about this. Certainly with Valery, because he's half Russian and half Ukrainian, but he's all Ukrainian. The other place we should take a look at is, of course, Iran. And Iran is so complicated. It really is hard to figure it out, but we will. So the latest, as you might know, is that Iran attacked. The Iranians attacked the Iranians are trying to set up a protocol that you have to go through the Gulf of Hormuz the way they tell you, even though they've agreed to 60 days of no fees. They want to be the big shots, the bullies, and you have to go through. You got to go through the Strait of Hormuz the way they tell you. And 5 tankers decided that they wanted to go through that. They got permission, I think, from America and Oman. Now, remember, Oman is supposedly their partner in this. They got permission from the United States and Oman to go through the way they wanted to go through. Now, I don't know. Let me see if I can show you what the difference is between which way they went through and which way they were supposed to go through. But I don't have my little pointer, unfortunately. Well, in any event, they were supposed to go through toward the center and favoring the Iranian side of the strait. They attempted to go through favoring the Oman side of the strait. So it's not, it's 20 miles at its shortest point, but it gets much bigger at other points, the Persian Gulf is. And, well, there's the map, and it looks like north-south, but you're really looking more like east-west. And the top part is the east, and the south part is the west. And Iran wanted them to come in toward the upper part, where you see that island, and that's the Iranian route. If you look at the bottom route near the peninsula jutting out, that's the Oman route. And these 5 tankers got permission to come through that route. The IRGC told them no, they couldn't. 4 of them turned back. 1 didn't, and they shot. They tried to destroy it, did great damage to it. And so, what did we do? What we did today is say, well, you're going to have to pay for that. And I'll show you how they paid for it, if I may. Let me find it here.
What we do know, Mayor, is that Iranian news services report an explosion at 11:15 local time at the, excuse my mispronunciation here, the Tahirui Pier in in Sirik.
Here, if you want to look at this map, here they are. And these are all, remember I explained to you the Oman side and the, well, I might be able to do it from that one if I can see it. The first place we hit. See, you have that now? Good, okay. Let's go from left to right. The first is Kasham Island. And we hit that and took out a missile and gun structure. At Bandar Abbas, we took out both artillery, guns, missiles, and radar. In Minab, also radar, and in Sirik, radar. It was a combination of taking out radar and offensive capabilities. Oh, you want to see if we have it in here? Yeah, it's always hard to find. We're not going to waste time on it. We'll wait until we'll wait. Just leave that there. We'll wait until we have a little. These are self-explanatory. And up on the top where you see the red dots, which are the ones we hit today, that is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about the Iranian side. And that's where Iran wanted them to come through. Instead, they came through the side, which there is marked UAE. But if you go further to the left, you'll be hitting Oman. Now, Oman and Iran are supposed to get together, right? Aren't they? They're supposed to get together to figure out the, I don't know how they put it, but what the rules are going to be. And the provision is self-contradictory, because it sounds like that'll mean there'll be some kind of a fee or toll. And international law prohibits that. And the provision says it has to comply with international law. But Iran is going to say that a toll violates international law, but a fee does not. And they believe they can collect $45 to $60 billion a year. And this is a critical part of the negotiation for them. And this is why that provision in the 14-point agreement was so ambiguous. So this little demonstration here is part of their asserting their authority to basically boss you around in the Strait. You can't just go through the Strait of Hormuz. You got to go the way they tell you to go. Now, originally they might have said it's because there are mines. But Oman and the United States cleared the route. There were no mines. You were just not listening to the IRGC, the killers, the murderers, and the bullies. This is a crucial issue because there's no way this ends with them being able to put a toll booth Otherwise, they'll treat everybody like Michael Corleone or like Sonny Corleone, who they wiped out at the toll booth because they're no different. Iran probably worse than the mafia. So they attacked this cargo ship. It's a Singaporean ship. And in return, they had they had 4 military installations taken out that allowed them to bully people in the Strait of Hormuz, to shoot at them, to follow them by radar, to ignite mines underneath the at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. And according to the Persian Gulf Strait Authority, which is created just recently by Tehran, any passage through routes outside the framework directed by the Persian Gulf Strait Authority won't be covered by safe passage guarantees. Isn't that contradictory to what they promised, 60 days of free passage? You tell me. I mean, I've forgotten which number it was. I think 8. But they promised that there would be 60 days of free passage through the Strait of Hormuz. Well, what was that, 5 days ago? That lasted for 5 days when they shot at somebody. It's not free passage when you tell someone, oh, you have to come by our shore, not theirs. What's free about that? That's constricted passage. That's directed passage. That's passage getting everybody ready for how you're going to try to steal money from them. When international law says this is an international waterway and it does not belong to Iran and it doesn't belong to Oman, and the king or princeling or emir or ubaduba of Oman agrees with that.
Right.
So we're going to take
we're getting reports now that Iran might be striking back. So we'll follow that. We'll come back.
Are they using rubber bands? And we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal, 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because they like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so? Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live from Pasadena, California. We have with us, as I said, we have with us a candidate for Congress, a Republican candidate for Congress. And we're trying to pick out. We obviously can't interview all of them. Maybe we can. This election is so important. There's no question about it. Just all by itself, it's so important. But given our goal, which is to recapture America, to bring God back, to bring our constitutional rights back, to bring the meaning and the purpose that was set for our country by our founding fathers here on our 250th birthday, we need better people. I mean, the Congress of the United States is one of the most disrespected organizations in the United States. It may or may not be exaggerated. There are days I think it is, and there are days in which I think it's underestimated as a bad place. And I've had experience with it directly since 1975. And it's wonderful to see some exceptional candidates above the moral fiber and capabilities of a lot of the people that we elect there. We're going to bring you one now. Who is named John Strand. He's the author of Patriot Plea, and he's running in Florida's 19th district. He's a former actor. He's a creative director for American Frontline Doctors. He was persecuted. You know, we talked about the Christians and the Armenians and how they were persecuted in the first and second and third centuries. Well, that's no different than what happened to our people on January 6th of 2020. And I am more than willing to spend any amount of time you want under oath to explain it to you, because I knew it on the night of January 6th, and that's a different explanation. And I know it for sure now, but I didn't need that. I had the tape, the video, and I had a person who had infiltrated Antifa, who was ready, willing, and able to identify all the Antifa people there, and the FBI never talked to her. The U.S. attorney never talked to her. Nobody ever talked to her, and they tried to destroy her. Well, John, you tell us first. Tell us about your running, because that's the current and most important thing. The January 6th thing and the rest of your background shows you have the moral fiber, the courage, and the patriotism to be a great member of Congress. But tell us why you're running and what's going on in your district so people can help you.
Thank you, Rudy. Running for a simple reason: to reclaim the republic for the people of this country, as you just said. To reclaim the constitutional republic and turn our nation back to one nation under God. That is absolutely my mission, my passion. It is what I will live and die for. So I'm really running to restore courage, common sense, and Judeo-Christian values back into the government so that we can finally end the fraud, waste, and abuse that's bankrupting the nation, both morally and financially, and deliver what Americans and Southwest Florida, where I'm proud to live, actually needs, which is security, affordability, and accountability. And you set it up really well, Mayor Giuliani. You talked about moral fiber. You talked about the tragedy of January 6th and the level of corruption and just moral depravity that is consuming our country in every corner, and certainly in government and in Washington, D.C. But as you mentioned, I'm actually an actor and a writer that lived and worked in Hollywood and New York over the years. And then I made a choice to defend my nation, fight for the Constitution, and really sacrifice my life and career when COVID was bringing tyranny in real time and when BLM Marxism was burning down our streets. So I made that choice and commitment. I've been fighting on the front lines of medical freedom with Dr. Gold and Dr. Joseph Latipo, the Surgeon General
I
of
neglected
Florida.
to mention that. I
Which
do know that, and I'm
Yes.
sorry, Dr. Maria isn't here with me, my partner, but she has great respect for you and knows all about you. But go ahead.
Yes. So fighting for medical freedom, fighting for civil rights. Of course, that work brought me to Washington, D.C., where I was wrapped up in an entrapment event. Then I was violently arrested by an FBI SWAT team, disappeared in jail for 4 days without a phone call, only to get out and find myself facing 23 years of prison, a ruined life, or a single misdemeanor plea deal to make it all go away. Everyone in my life told me to take that deal, Rudy, including my parents, my pastors, but it was a lie, and I will not bear false witness because that is God's command. And moreover, that plea deal was a weapon against the innocent and a betrayal of my American brothers and sisters, and I would not take it.
What
I
would
went
the
to prison on
sentence have
principle.
been under the plea deal, John?
Probably no prison. It was a single misdemeanor, and I probably could have gotten home confinement. That's
And
the
you
truth.
had already
So,
spent what, a couple of days in prison?
4 days in jail when they first
Right.
arrested me. Yeah, in isolation. So the prosecutor asked for 8 years. They tried to lock me up for the rest of my young adult life at trial. But I turned that down, like I said, on principle so that you don't have to go to prison. And moreover, so that somebody in this country can start standing up for what's right, not because it's going to work out for them in the end or someone's paying them or pressuring them. They just understand a moral compass of what is good and evil, of what God has called us to fight for. And that includes fighting for freedom for ourselves. It includes fighting for the downtrodden, fighting for the rights of the unborn, fighting for the Constitution that our founders built for us based on Judeo-Christian values so that freedom could be preserved and passed down to the next generation. But like Ronald Reagan, another actor who became a great leader in our country, reminded us, freedom is not passed through the bloodstream. It must be fought for with blood, sweat, and tears and passed down to our children and taught to them. So I was homeschooled. I was raised on a rock-solid foundation of Judeo-Christian values. I know who I am, what I'm fighting for, and what this country is worth. And I will lay it on the line at johnstrand.com because we have a chance to win an incredibly important seat in Congress and put a proven patriot behind President Trump so we can get him to finish his job.
Where are you in Florida? Explain it geographically.
I am Southwest Florida. I live in Naples. We are in the Florida 19 district that stretches from Naples up through Fort Myers, Cape Coral, Lehigh Acres, Bonita Springs, and on the Gulf of America.
One of the fastest growing parts of Florida.
It
I
is.
might add.
It is because it is the most amazing place to live in the world. So people are coming here because we preserve what America has always been about. Florida, and especially Southwest Florida, is like a time capsule. It's like America used to be all over the country in the 50s. Real American values still thrives here. Freedom, beauty, industry, creativity, engagement in politics.
I'm a citizen.
I'm
I'm a citizen of 2.5 years now, and I am very happy with Florida. I wasn't sure I would like it. I'm a lifetime New Yorker, a little bit in Washington, D.C. I have no regrets. I think it's from the state government on down. I think it's a much more responsive place in New York. When is the primary, John?
On August 18, vote John Strand, Patriot for Congress. And the mission right now is really simple, Rudy. We need to drive a ton of action, enthusiasm, donations, because I don't have big DC backers or big corporate interest money. I am a true independent grassroots patriot, so much so that I don't know if you know this, Rudy, but we qualified for the ballot in this race the old-fashioned way with voter petition support, gathering almost 4,000 signatures.
God bless you.
When you get on a ballot, you have to qualify one way or the other. You either qualify with voter support or you pay a failure fee if you don't get the voter support. We are the first campaign, it's historic, the first Republican candidate in Florida 19 history to ever qualify on the ballot with voter petition support. It's a historic grassroots campaign just endorsed by Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, and we need johnstrand.com.
johnstrand.com, ladies and gentlemen.
Get there,
contribution,
get a part of the fight.
Now,
yes, sir.
John, tell me, how much time did you get sentenced to then eventually?
The actual sentence was almost 3 years. I served 1 year of that sentence, 366 days, because it was a leap year. And then I was released because I beat the felony at the Supreme Court. And then I beat the whole case when the DOJ vacated all 5 charges with prejudice.
So your main charge was vacated by the Supreme Court.
Same ruling that vindicated President Trump. That's right.
Was that before President Trump's pardons?
Yes, I was released from prison 6 months before he got back in office.
So the pardons then had the effect of removing whatever additional carryover there'd be from having had a conviction, right?
So technically, I pled not guilty, appealed all 5 charges, beat the felony at the Supreme Court, and then got a vacation from the DOJ of all 5 charges. All 5, including the felony, were vacated by the DOJ. So I have no record. I have no criminal case. It has been rescinded within the legal process. I'm 100% innocent. I earned it and proved it through the legal system.
You sure did. I mean, you can't do much better than having it vacated by the Supreme Court and rescinded by the prosecutor.
Yeah, that's as good as it gets.
I mean, the only other thing is they could publicly burn it, which they probably should.
Well, we're going to get a patriot in Congress so we can get some real accountability, discover what really happened with January 6th, put the bad guys in prison, and make sure that the victims are properly restored.
When they criticized the president's pardon, they focused on people who might have done some form of violence. And I studied January 6th very, very carefully. The greater balance of violence was done by the police.
That is correct.
And
that is correct.
The vast majority of people didn't do anything wrong. But even the people who did things wrong, the sentence
was egregious.
Way out of line with the level of wrong, even if there was some pushing back or some, and it should have been a sentence. It should have been a short. I mean, in New York, you got to basically kill somebody to go to jail.
Yeah. As you know, in DC, there's an established.
And the DC, it's the same thing. They put all the criminals back out on the street.
Yeah, and it's a disgrace.
We could take the worst thing they want to find about any of the J6 people, and I could make a very strong case that if that were an ordinary person in an ordinary situation on the street, they'd have walked.
Yep.
And then you have a whole group that are completely innocent. And then you have the whole group that was brought in when Biden criticized the attorney general and said, you're not prosecuting enough people. And they brought the number up to what was it? 1,000 people. They went around the country looking for people. They were looking at credit cards to see who was in Washington.
Almost 1,600 people were indicted for January 6th, the largest law enforcement manhunt in U.S. history. A third of the entire FBI dedicated to this effort for a stretch of 4+ years. Immense taxpayer dollars wasted, lives destroyed, FBI SWAT teams that can cause serious harm and death, exploited to inflict terror. It was actual fascism wielded by the Biden administration against Trump supporters and conservative Americans. It's one of the greatest disgraces in our nation's history, and it must be.
And electing you to Congress will have a lot of benefits. But one of the things I'm sure you're going to feel strongly about because of what you went through, this has to be exposed much more than it has.
Yes.
The way we exposed the internment of the Japanese in the Second World War.
That's right.
The way the genocide of the Armenian people is being exposed and trying to be held back by Turkey. This is one of those things that if we don't face it, it'll happen again. If we don't really face it.
Well, I'm gonna bring it to face you right now. Check this out. Right here.
I should have mentioned that. It's an excellent book.
It is extraordinary, Rudy. This book, if enough people read this book, the course of our nation's history could change.
I was given to me by Kara Castronova. Do you know Kara?
Amazing. Yes, Kara's amazing.
She followed January 6th backwards and forwards.
This story is extraordinary. The book that I wrote, of course, is my firsthand testimony of what happened to me. I bring receipts and trial transcripts. That alone will just blow people's minds. But I also make a really compelling case to the country for where we came from, who we are supposed to be as Americans, and what is required of each and every one of us to bring our nation back. as one nation under God and a republic built on freedom, truth, and justice, so that we can actually preserve the birthright of freedom for our families and our children and future generations. This book lays it out. It absolutely dismantles the J6 lie, but it really charts a path forward and inspires people to believe in America once again.
On our 250th anniversary, my friends that are listening, and tell your friends that aren't, this would be an exceptional man to elect. Thank you. And God bless you. And we'll have you on again.
Yes, sir. Anytime. And thank you for your fight, Rudy. Do not ever stop. Give him an inch.
Oh, I won't stop.
Keep fighting to save this republic. We're here at johnstrand.com, and we will bring the courage to fight and the wisdom to lead, because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Thank you, and God bless you and your audience.
So this is what we're talking about, taking our country back, fighting back against these people who want to take our civilization from us. We can't just do it by talking about it. We have to talk about it. I'm not saying, I said, we can't just do it by talking about it. The talking about it is for the purpose of leading to action. And not everybody has the courage this man has. I really want to talk to him some more, and maybe even after he's elected, because that has to be quite a story. Turning down a plea that'd keep you out of jail or minimize it to something, 4 months, 5 months. That's a guy with courage. Maybe the rarest virtue. I don't know. Sometimes I think honesty is too. So this is going to be an interesting weekend leading up to the 250th birthday celebration on July 3, which will be next weekend. But this will be a week of a great deal of celebrations from the point of view of joyous ones, which there should be, and fun ones, and some serious ones where we concentrate. And boy, what a time to do it, because of the challenges that are being made to our institution of government. But just who we are, what we are, where we came from, and what we stand for. Because we're a country that is bound together by, among other things, the things that are in that Declaration of Independence. It's one of our foundational documents. Abraham Lincoln probably explained it the most succinctly, but any number of American patriots would agree with it. Some of them, maybe not with the ability of a Lincoln to make things quite as succinct as he did. But I've told you this story before, but this is before Lincoln was president, I think. He was at a naturalization ceremony, I believe in Springfield, Illinois. And a man came up to him who had just become a citizen from the country in which he spoke broken English. And he said to Lincoln, they had people like the Daughters of the American Revolution, they're celebrating, and others. And he said, it's wonderful to be an American. I'm very, very proud that I was able to do this. But he said, I'll never be an American like the people who came in, who can trace themselves back to the Mayflower. And Lincoln said, well, that's completely wrong. He said, here's the best American is the one who believes and inculcates our values the most. If that's somebody who goes back to the Mayflower, fine. If that's somebody that just walked in and and that's why they came here and they've risked their lives and their whole life is dedicated to what we are and what we believe in, that people are born equal and free, and that people have the right to property, and people have the right to the pursuit of happiness, and people have the right to due process before someone is going to harm them. If people understand that, and understand that this nation is the only nation that's ever really protected all that and put it together, then you're a better American than anyone. Because we're a country of beliefs. We're not a country of one religion. We're not a country of one ethnic group. We're not a country that's based on some extraneous principle that unites us. We unite ourselves based on our beliefs. And that's how they're ripping us apart, aren't they? They're going at those beliefs, and the communists are going at those beliefs because those beliefs 100% shatter communism. And they shatter the religious dictatorship that comes from Muslim extremism. You can't have either one of those with our values. And that's why we are such an enemy to the Marx people, to the people who literally translate Muhammad, and to any group of people, the Hitlers, any group of people who believes that government should exist from the top down and direct you and tell you what to do. Lincoln then added his own of the people, for the people, and by the people. But that's just another way of saying what Jefferson said originally, right? That we have certain unalienable rights that come from God, not from government. But believe me, most other countries, the government gives you your, even so-called democracies, the government gives you your rights. You don't. In this country, you're the prime player, my friend. It's the people. I mean, you can see a lot of that has changed under the influence of communism and the influence of the statist party, the Democrats. But as my hero Ronald Reagan said, the best government is the government closest to the people. That's the way it's supposed to be, and that somehow our founders figured that out, and it was ingenious, God-given. And we created the greatest nation on earth. And why people want to destroy that? Well, why people want to destroy that. Please don't say I don't know why, because I could spend, I'm going to run out of time. I could spend the next 5 hours explaining it to you. They're doing it for a reason, for a set of reasons that are discernible, historic, traceable, and defeatable if we stand together. That young man said magic words for me. He invoked God. He's got somebody, we got something above him, something looking after him, something he has to answer to, which would distinguish him from too many of our young people that are complete hedonists. They don't know what they believe. They don't know why they believe it. And they got to go to psychiatrists, and they've got to go to mental institutions. They have to go to prisons. They've got to go to this one and that one, looking for meaning. Pick up the Bible. Want some meaning? Start reading it. You start where you want. Old Testament, New Testament. Just pick it up. Start reading it. See what it does for you. So, what do you have planned for this weekend? Can I make a recommendation that one of the things you plan for this weekend, because the day after tomorrow is the day God rested, is to rest and to spend some time worshiping God in the way you want to. If you can go to church, that's wonderful. If you can go to synagogue, that's wonderful. If you're not there yet, why don't you just worship him yourself? Thank him. Thank him. I'm pointing outside to this beautiful, for some reason, it's not cloudy. First time since I've been here in California. It's not cloudy. I think you have to pay taxes for this. I think the sun came out, and now we're going to get taxed because they tax you for air and sun in California. I was told by some Republican. That might not be true. What do you think, Ted? You think they do? You think they tax you for air and sun? I'll tell you what they don't tax you for. They don't tax you for water in the fire hydrants because they don't put it there. So here's what I did. I brought my own water from New Hampshire. I've got like water bottles all over the place. So in case there's a fire, I don't have to rely on Mayor Bass. I will rely on the fire department, but I'll give them the water that they need to help me. Because I saw some of my friends using dirt to try to put out fires. Right. What a disgrace. What a disgrace this government is. If I lived in California, I'd be walking with my head down. That's why I left New York. I had my head down all the time. You see what just happened there, right? So I want to remind you of a few things right before we get off. One, next week we'll be at our regular times. We'll be coming on at 7 on the Rudy Giuliani show on Lindell TV. We'll be coming on at 8, as we have for how many times, Ted, now?
960.
960 times at 8. We're going to go through the 4th that way. But when we come back after the 4th of July, we're going to be on between 4 and 6 every day. That doesn't mean you can't watch it at 8 o'clock. You can just punch in and watch us at 8 o'clock like you always do, if that's your preference. Or you can watch us at 7. Or you can watch us at 6. Or you can watch us at 11 o'clock at night like most of you do. More of you watch us after the show is over, like now, this show, particularly because it's a weekend. The numbers of people watching this show will double for sure. Some weekends triple and quadruple over the weekend because people watch it later on tonight or tomorrow or Sunday. A daily show that doesn't lead into the weekend will not get as many, but it'll double or triple. So what we thought was, if we come on at 4 to 6, in the case of X, come on between 5 and 6, we add 2 more hours to the flexibility people have to be able to see the show and factor it into when they want to see it, which is becoming the way people watch news, watch television, and it makes sense. It makes sense because, in essence, you build your own schedule. The network or the online service or isn't deciding your schedule. Oh, you must watch the news at 6 o'clock. You can watch it at 7 or 8 or 9 or 10, or not watch it at all. We always had that option. So let's see what happens in Iran over this weekend. It's far from over. And let's also keep an eye on Ukraine, which seems to be taking a twist the other way. Let's watch how this development takes place with the communists that got elected. And first, the battle within the Democrat Party. Are they going to face up to it? I don't think so. I think we're going to have to be ready to do the battle for the country. But this is not a usual, in any way, political battle. This is a battle for the soul of America. They're after our soul. Communists, socialists, and extremist Islamics are after the soul of this country because this country defies them. This country is a monstrosity to them because it has freedom. It has respect and love for God. It lives by the 10 Commandments. And it's a country of laws, not of men. We're going to be all that and more. But we're going to have to fight for it. And we were told that. So let's get ready for it. Now, go to Lindell TV for the incomparable Dr. Maria, who has a great show. And then have a wonderful weekend. And remember, you're so lucky to be an American. Those of you who are, and those of you who want to become one, there's a good legal way to do it. And when you do it that way, you show us that you're entitled to be an American. It's not a right. It's a privilege. We were fortunate enough to get born that way. But if you haven't, it's a privilege to be an American. It's a privilege for me too. I have obligations because of that. So pray for the people of Israel. Pray for the people of Iran. Please. Pray for the people of Ukraine. Pray for all of us and for our president so he makes the right decisions, and he will, I'm sure, but he needs your help and your guidance. And go listen to Dr. Maria. And don't forget stickermule.com. Go to stickermule.com/pro, promo code Rudy, and you can set up your own patriotic business or get your own patriotic materials, either or both.
First 3 months free.
But this is first 3 months free, and this is important. This is part of it. This is the symbolism of it. It's really important. And we're going to be spending a lot of time on that next week as we get ready for the 250th anniversary on patriotism. So, God bless America. It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans.